Hello, everybody. Thank you for clicking on. It is Doofus After Dark. It's the Smart People Show, and tonight's show is entitled Allegedly, for reasons you will learn. And Chris will be coming up here in just a couple of minutes. I'm a little late getting started tonight. Had some glitches. I couldn't get this camera working. Finally did. So we are here now, though. Yesterday I was supposed to have done, and I did. We recorded an episode. I recorded an episode on Medicare and Medicare Parts A, B, C, and D with an expert friend of mine named Rob. And due to technical difficulties, I was unable to air it. We are going to have Rob on at some time here in the near future, but it'll be talking about politics, not about what to do if you or someone you know is about to turn 65 in the next few months, and will be going on Medicare. You get all this stuff in the mail, okay? And by moving the camera is going to try to refocus, so sorry about that, but you get this giant book in the mail, okay? Basically, cut to the chase, it's not set up for people to understand, all right? It's just not. It's not set up for people to understand. And damn, I wish that camera was a little better. Anyway, you're not here to look at me. You're here to get some things to think about. So, call 1-812-333-1600. 812-333-1600. Tell them Barry sent you, and Rob will help you out. Now, between Rob and his wife, they cover a lot of states. So just because, he's in Indiana doesn't mean that necessarily he won't be able to help you. So, like I said, if you got a family member or you yourself or are going to be going on to Medicare, it's hard to understand everything. There's a renewal period. You can change the plans. If you made a mistake, you're stuck with it for a year. But you can change it. So if you're already on Medicare and you want to change, you're not happy, or you want to look at options, 1-812-333-1600. It's toll-free numbers aren't really necessary anymore because everything's by cell phone. It is long distance if you're using a landline. If you're using a landline, it's 2023, and cell phone. So, with all that being said, Chris will be on here in just a few short minutes. We got a lot of things to talk about, and while we wait, I want to show you the first little clip of the night. This is a Six Flags park, and this is what is going to be the world's fastest roller coaster. Okay, that's going to be the reason I showed you all of that was twofold. I'm having audio problems here, and I apologize for that if it's coming through. I wanted to share you because it's going to be at the Six Flags, but it's going to be at the Six Flags in Saudi Arabia. So chances are most of us will never get to ride this, but again, it goes 156 miles per hour, and it has a what was it, a 600-foot climb up a cliff at 100 miles an hour in order to get up and over, and then you swoop like a falcon, which is the name of it, the Falcon, and then you have a major drop, accelerate to 156 miles an hour, and you go up over a 500 plus foot hill, and this would have to be a major rush on the way down that. Anyway, that's be at Six Flags in Saudi Arabia. So we will, most of us anyway, will never see that. Hello, Hot Mess Summer. Jamie Lewis, this is your show. It absolutely is. This is a show, and one reason, Jamie, yeah, it is. One reason is we don't tell you what to think or how to think. We just give you things to think about. So only smart people can do that. So stick around. Chris, how are you, man?
Pretty good. How about yourself, man?
I'm having some audio trouble, and it's the speakers. For some reason, hang on a second. I'm going to try to replug it. Okay, I'm having some audio trouble.
Can you hear me?
It's because I'm on this old laptop. Anyway, a lot to talk about tonight, Chris, and damn it, a lot to talk about tonight. And before we get to that, the fighting has started again in the Gaza area, between the Israeli Defense Forces and the Hamas fighters, and the one thing about war is there are a lot of people that make a lot of money off of war.
Always.
As somebody that might be listening that has some extra money, and is thinking, if this is going to happen, maybe I should try to make some money off of this as well. Two primary ways to make money off of war.
Right.
You either buy stock in a military-industrial complex company, or you invest in something that's going to be involved in the rebuilding of what's been destroyed.
Right. So, you talked about, the military-industrial complex. So, companies that deal with munitions ordinances are good places to start, right? But then not only that, you want to take a look at, should we say, the energy field, oil, right? That plays a real big part in this as well. As I told you, every country I've been in, it's always been about natural resources, right? So somewhere nearby, there's like always oil or gas, something like that nearby. Anytime,
right,
or like some terrorism or something like that. So the energy field is always a great field if you have money to go ahead and invest in something like that. But then also like the war business, right? The military-industrial complex, which I already said. There are companies out there that you can buy stock in, and with right now with what's going on all over the world, it wouldn't be like a really bad investment to start looking at some of those companies, right? That that deal with munitions and building equipment, You know, like should we say MRAPs or anything, you know, armored personnel carriers, anything like that.
Right.
Um, that you know are going to benefit our troops or the host nation's troops, because that's actually where the money is.
And then in the rebuilding, after everything's torn down.
Okay, so after everything's torn down, you know, you have to rebuild. So, um, like me, I like, because I've been to Israel, but I have not been to the Gaza Strip. But my understanding is the Gaza Strip is actually, if they were to clean it up, it'd be really, really nice, because there's actually a lot of beachfront property, right? So because there's a lot of beachfront property, you could actually build that up. To it would like it could be like a little Miami, you see, something to that effect. Which who knows, which they might do, because if the Israelis occupy that, then hey, then don't think that they're not going to build there to, you know, to make it profitable, because that's what you do. You're there to make profit. And I think the Israelis could really do that after they occupy Gaza.
Okay, for those that are just joining us, have never been listening to the show before. First of all, thank you for giving us a few moments. Thanks for clicking on. Chris is a counterterrorism and a military expert. I've got experience in the media, in government, in politics, and a number of things. And together, we look at what's going on around the world, and we don't look at it with emotion. We look at it objectively, and that's where we're at tonight. A reality is there are wars and rumors of war all around the world, and people are going to make money off of it. So we're not, you know, we're giving advice. We're not saying, you know, if you, which I might in this case, felt like I was some kind of war profiteer, um, then you know, but at the same time, it's easy for me to, you know, be sanctimonious like that because I don't have any money. Um, when I knew the first Iraq was coming, I invested in a company that put out oil well fires. That was their specialty, and I invested in a company called Halliburton. But that was like in the 1994, something like that.
Yeah, for the first Gulf War,
Yeah,
that was like 1990,
yeah.
1990. So, Jamie Lewis has said the West Bank has oil. Yeah, West Bank has oil too,
West Bank has oil.
as
Yes.
well. So, and I thought,
Actually, let's. The West Bank has natural gas.
yeah, okay, all right, yeah,
Gaza has oil, but they're both petrodollar influenced resources.
right. So, once again, I talk about whoever controls the land, um, controls the resources and can actually exploit those resources, because they control the land. So, if Israel occupies the West Bank and they occupy Gaza, that means it's all theirs now. That's it, and they don't have to share
They
with
could.
anyone.
You control the land. You control the resources.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it kind of funnels us right into, hey Delhi, that kind of funnels us right into what's potentially going to happen. The way I understand it, going through the protocol, Sunday there will be a vote in Venezuela as to whether they should occupy
Oh,
the 80% is oil and mineral rich. Um, Brazil, as we'll see here in a couple minutes, has troops on their border, and the United States has sent troops to Guyana. It sounds like it's kind of what's going on in Gaza is about to happen in Guyana, and it's happened numerous times around the world while we haven't been paying attention, including in African nations.
right, and about the Guyana Venezuela thing. We always talk about how economics controls all, right?
Right.
They say, they say
Exactly.
it's a land dispute. It goes back to like I don't know, maybe 1899 or whatever, right? But now, okay, they're saying it's been a land dispute, but now since they know there's big oil deposits, and Guyana can actually become larger than possibly Qatar or one of those uh, one of those countries, and it should be called
Bahrain's one of
Bahrain,
the,
right?
yeah.
Right. So one of those Arabic countries. Now, um, Venezuela kind of wants to come in and take that over because Venezuela is actually the biggest oil producer in South America. So,
And
it,
there's more oil in Guyana than there is in Venezuela.
right. So that would kind of like knock Venezuela out of being number one, right? And other countries can easily go into Guyana and be like, hey, we want you to supply us with oil, which would knock Venezuela out, right? So the best move for Venezuela to do would be to take over that part of Guyana, which is, they're going to allegedly annex the western part of
Right.
Guyana, where where all the resources are. It's gold too. It's not just oil.
Right.
So it's oil and gold, and they're going to take that over. So now, if they take over that landmass, it's now theirs. You see, and now they control the resources, which means, who we gonna have, who we're going to deal with. Are we going to have to deal with Venezuela, or are we going to deal with Guyana? And if this plays out the way that it does, because Guyana really doesn't even have a military. It's got what,
Right.
3,500 like military personnel.
Yeah.
It's not
4,300 enlisted troops.
right. So Venezuela is the bigger. It's the bully, and they're probably going to take it over. So that means now we have to deal with Venezuela. You see, and Venezuela is not one of our allies anymore. So
No.
they can cut us out of that oil as well. You see.
And just to give the listeners an idea, Guyana is the fastest growing economy in the world. It has been since 2015. And this year, 2023, they are going to have a 100% increase. That means their economy is going to double in 1 year. So that tells you the wealth potential of the land that is about to be fought over.
Right, and so the I've been seeing advertisements, telling people come to invest in Guyana. Right,
Yeah,
I've seen that about a thousand times. Invest in Guyana. It's the fastest growing economy. And I'm just like, well, damn, that's really good. And this is probably no more than 90 days ago I saw this, and now Venezuela's getting ready to take it over, and because of that, they want to take that away from Guyana. But you have to understand the oil companies really don't care, you know, if it's Venezuela or if it's Guyana. They don't care as long as they get the money. That's it.
yeah. All right. Let's go down the site formerly known as Twitter, um, and we'll run through the bookmarks for tonight. Um, Republican senators, including Rubio, have asked Biden for a travel ban from China to prevent the mystery illness from spreading. What do you think about that?
It's already here. So too late.
It's already here.
Yeah, too late. Right.
Yeah.
So
This come from Santa Sneed because I've got a Santa Saeed on the evacuation pamphlets Israel dropped on Palestinians is a QR code that leads you to this map. That these are all the areas that need to be evacuated because they're going to be bombed. Um, it's crap. It's pretty narrow area right here along the border, here in the middle, and down here at the very end near the Sinai. Um, what do you think of this?
All right. So the dark areas is that where they're going to be bombed?
Right.
All right. So so it looks like the north is going to be heavily bombed. All right. The middle is still going to be heavily bombed. And it looks like a small portion of the south is going to be heavily bombed.
Yeah, and they launched over 300 airstrikes today alone. Israeli Defense Forces did.
So it's listen. It's obvious that Israel is just trying to level the place. It really is. Okay. Yes, they're trying to get rid of Hamas, granted, but honestly, I think they're just trying to level Gaza for their end state and what they want to do with it. I really do.
Which is rebuild and make a bunch of money off of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Federal appeals court rules that Trump can be sued for allegedly inciting January 6th Capitol attack violence with his ellipse speech. Circuit judge says Trump is not immune from civil liability just because he was president. Do you think anybody that, there are a lot of quote unquote J6 prisoners, do you think any of them will go, I'm in here for 18 years. My family needs to make money while I'm in here, and I need to sue this guy because he's why I'm here? Or will all of them have loyalty and not want to damage Trump in any way?
Well, they're locked up. He's not. So, thing about it is, if it were me, I'd sue him. I mean, what do you got? I mean,
Yeah,
I mean,
I know.
what's loyalty at this point? You're locked up. You ain't getting out. So,
Well, I got another little snippet coming up here as to why some of them might still remain loyal. So let's move along here, and we'll get to that. This is Brazilian army announced an escalation of military operations along the northern border due to recent intelligence reports which indicated an increase in deployments of the Venezuelan forces near the Esquiaba region. That's the 80% of Guyana that Venezuela is wanting to now claim. So again, crap. What happens? There we go. We talked about possible investments. This is Andrill Industries, and they are unveiling a new reusable interceptor drone called the Roadrunner. The company calls it a cross between a reusable missile and an autonomous airplane. So, I think it goes without saying, Chris, drones are going to be a significant part of militaries in the future, and companies like this might be one to look at.
all day. Drone manufacturing. Yeah. That's definitely something to look at and actually to invest into.
Okay. A woman draped in a Palestinian flag sets herself on fire near the Israeli consulate in Atlanta. She's been taken to the hospital with serious injuries. Things like that do not draw a whole lot of attention because I think we're kind of immune.
Yeah,
to
plus it just makes you look stupid. Like no one
Yeah.
cares. No one cares. You burn.
No one cares.
Like you set yourself on fire. Who really cares? Most people will probably be like, well, if you're stupid enough to do that, that's what you get.
Yeah, FAFO.
So I never really understood that.
Okay, this is how a lot of the world is looking at what's going on, with exception maybe the United States.
Dude, what the hell are you doing? Defending myself? What's it to you? You're gonna kill him. Oh my god. Why do you hate all followers of my faith. So what's happening? You criticizing me means you hate me and all adherents to my religion. I couldn't care less what religion you are, buddy. I just want you to stop beating that guy to death. Ah, you see? Defending him. That means you hate us. That's not true. I detest what you're doing in our name. Well, that's because you hate yourself. Mate, this isn't about your religion. Just be reasonable, yeah? La la la! La la la! They're doing it again. Yeah, sorry guys. If you criticize him, you're anti his religion. So. But that's ridiculous. Like, it is a bit ridiculous, isn't it? Want me to tell everyone what you did to my grandparents? He's right, you're wrong, move along. Oh, and both of you just lost your jobs.
That's one of those something to think about, Chris.
Yeah. But you know what, Barry? The whole thing about that is that's exactly what's going on right now inside the United States. And I don't know if people have heard about. I think there were students at some university that kind of they didn't criticize Israel, but they were pro-Palestinian, and I think someone had some affiliation with some Jewish or Zionist group, kind of was basically trying to blackball the students from getting employment or jobs outside. Once they graduated, it's something. There's something to that extent. And that kind of
Yeah.
that right there just kind of like, yeah, well, it's kind of true to life too. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and to me the obscenity of all of this is that there are a handful of people that know there's oil under Gaza, and they've already sold the rights to British Petroleum for a lot of it, and the people fighting on both sides do not know that their fight is over so somebody else can have a massive amount of oil.
Right, and then, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want the fighting to stop. I want both sides to realize this. Man, the lack of humanity, human for human in 2023 is it's deflating, but yet it's everywhere.
Yeah, you know what, Barry? Once again, you're being a humanist, right?
Yeah.
The people, these people are not humanists. They are strictly about economics. They don't care
Capitalists.
about people, right? They don't care about people. What they care about is their money. And if these people are in their way of getting their money, well, you gotta get rid of these people. That's it.
Israel knew Hamas plot to attack for over a year. Now, this is reported not only by Rolling Stone, but by numerous outlets. And the day it happened, either you called me or I called you, and you said right off the bat, this isn't something that just happened. This took planning, this took preparation, this took rehearsal. This isn't something that just happens. And you said, why would it happen? And I said, looking at it from a sleazeball politician standpoint, it's to get rid of all the people. We didn't know about the oil at the time. It's to get rid of the Palestinians so that all the land can be Israel's. I think we've both proven to be right since then. And what to you is the major significance of them having a year to plan this?
All right, so them having a year to plan this, like I said, the planning from so let's say, for instance, the political leadership had to talk to the military leadership and say, hey, look, we want you to conduct this type of attack. Now, keep in mind, Hamas never has conducted an attack like this ever. right? Normally, when they conduct attacks, it's gonna be rockets, like I said. But then also, you can go back, to 2000s. It was like suicide bombers and IEDs. That's what they were known for, right? And like, and maybe coming up shooting people, things of that nature, but nothing to the extent of this. You see, so that came from, I believe that came from Hamas's political wing, passed down to the military wing. The military wing just planned it out and executed what the military leadership wanted to do. Okay, but in that, I really believe that someone in the Israeli government reached out to Hamas's leadership on the political side. It was like, hey, we want you to do this. Okay, we want you to plan an attack, which they did, and they executed it. And now it's come to find out that the Israeli government knew about the attack, right? The spotters on the ground saw them during the rehearsal phase, doing the training, and I told the audience this. I said, it's not possible for the Israeli government not to have seen this. I said, it's not possible. And even with the intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance that overlooked Gaza and their training facilities, they would have had to have seen it. And just like the spotters on the ground saw them training, I was like, yeah, see, it's all BS. They knew it was coming, right? And they allowed it to come because that's the micro. We talk about micro versus the macro, or tactical versus strategic. Okay, the tactical part, yeah, it's the attack, and some Israelis lost their lives, but the strategic part is what's the end state? What's the big goal? The big goal is to get rid of the Palestinians, take over that land, exploit that land for its resources, and to build it back up for Israeli good. So okay,
So in order for that to happen, the Hamas leadership would have to be cut in
right,
with a percentage of the end game.
right, because why would they do it if it doesn't benefit them?
Interesting. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
This is all alleged.
Right. This is just speculation. This is just what I believe. But to me, like I said,
the dots all connect.
Right. And here's the thing: it has to make sense. Okay. Things have to make sense. If they don't make sense, then it's not what it is. Okay. The things that we're pointing out make sense. Okay. And like I said, I did not know that there were oil deposits underneath Gaza City. Okay, because originally the first thing I said was, the Zionist ideology is to get rid of the Palestinians, and it is. Okay, but now that there's oil involved, and I found out, and that we found out that BP's got rights to it, and allegedly is that the prime minister of Britain's family, or some of his family members have
his father.
Yeah, he's got like a $1.5 billion deal with BP in reference to this. That kind of changes things. You see?
And allegedly, the mayor of New York has a cousin who is pretty high up in Hamas.
The mayor of New York City?
No, I'm not the mayor of New York. The mayor of London. I'm sorry.
Okay.
The mayor of London. My bad. Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for that catch. Hamas's Al-Qassam brigades claimed responsibility for the shooting attack that killed 3 Israeli civilians this morning in Jerusalem. The 2 attackers were brothers from Surbar in East Jerusalem. Isn't this more what you mentioned earlier? The attack on October 7th was so out of character for Hamas. Hamas is known more for things like this.
Yeah, that's one of their tactics right there, right?
Yeah.
So So you have to remember, I think this is more or less for retribution for what they're doing to, what the IDF is doing and the settlers are doing to people in the West Bank. All right. So this is just one of those. Okay, this is what you did to our people, so this is what I'm gonna do to your people. All right.
It may not have been a random attack, as we'll see here in a couple of minutes. The army accuses Hamas of kidnapping women and children, and then they showed we showed one clip of this happening. This is a second clip of the Israeli Defense Forces taking 8 to 10-year-old kids and treating them like criminals.
Yeah. So those are like juveniles.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Anyway, that doesn't look good. Like I said, we discussed that on the last episode.
Not good optics. Not good optics at all.
Yeah, that's pretty lame.
Many elites had sex with little girls allegedly on Epstein Island, and not a single one has been arrested. I bring this up for a couple of reasons. I think they want us to forget about Jeffrey Epstein, and yet he keeps popping up, and we've got some other interesting ties to that. The Russian Supreme Court has ruled that global gay rights movement is on an extremist organization on a legal par with Al-Qaeda and ISIS, and has outlawed any display of support for the LGBT plus rights communities. Is this something you think it sets a precedent and starts happening in other countries?
What for the whole alternative lifestyle movement?
Yeah.
It depends the country, Barry. It really does. It really does.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
are you surprised it's going on in Russia?
With Putin, kind of, sort of. Yeah.
I kind of was too. Yeah. Okay. The United Kingdom has announced a terror warning, expecting a possible jihad attack, saying an attack could be imminent. Got video of the attacker opening fire at the bus stop. 1 dead, 7 injured. Okay, we talked a moment ago about the Trump, and the reason we're kind of going back to different stories. The average viewer on YouTube watches 3 to 5 minutes, and then they go to something else. We have the show for smart people. The average viewer here watches about 17 minutes. So, and some people watch the whole thing, and we greatly appreciate all of you, no matter, we just appreciate you clicking on. So we're going back to this. One of the reasons the J6 people might stay loyal is because of rhetoric like this from Republican Representative Clay Higgins. He says, I'll just say that his days are numbered and American patriots are not going to stand idly by. He's talking about Jack Smith prosecuting Trump. Is that still something that we have to consider, a far-right uprising? If something, I mean, Tucker Carlson is saying he's going to lead the people to tear down the prison and free Trump himself, kind of, allegedly.
Okay, all right.
Is that still a concern?
It is a concern. Okay, it's a major concern.
I agree.
And if you have people talking like that, it's funny, people sit there and talk about it, but here's the thing. People talk a good game. They really do. Okay? But when it really comes down to it, are you really willing to do lying shit? Okay? Are you really that lying when it comes down to it? Yeah, anyone can talk about being a lion, but when it comes down to doing lion stuff, things that the lions do, ape and gorilla shit like I used to talk about, are you really going to do it? That's the thing.
I think we saw on January 6th that there are some that are ready to do it.
Some, but it's not the majority. But it's not the majority of the people. I mean, look, the majority of our people in this country are weak. Okay, our society is very weak. Okay,
In
um,
comparison to other societies around the world,
well, you know what?
it's it's because we've got such a great lifestyle.
Well, that too, but like I said, they really softened our society down. All right,
That's true.
to
Yeah,
where like men aren't like really men anymore. You know,
great point.
and the men are really, the men today are not very masculine. You see, and just it's just like when I go to the gym pretty much like 5 to 6 days a week. And when I'm inside the gym, I'm looking around like the guys aren't like guys anymore. You know, they're just not.
Yeah,
And I'm sitting there like, man, if something were to happen, like if we were to actually get invaded by a country, do you think these people would actually stand up and fight? No, they're not. They're not built like that anymore. They're just not. So it'd be a very small percentage that would actually go out and do lion stuff. Okay. Um, and like I said, maybe Tucker Carlson. Like I said, people talk a good game. They really do.
Tucker Carlson, for
Yeah. I mean,
example.
like I said, I don't know the guy, so you know, maybe he has it, maybe he doesn't. Okay.
Yeah,
But if you're gonna talk the talk, you gotta walk the walk, man. Bottom line.
and the male population in the United States, we have lost a lot of
Yes.
dudeness.
Yeah.
There are still dudes. There are still dudes. We're not saying everybody. We're not being monotheistic and saying every male, but enough that it is
Right.
concerning
Right.
in your
Right.
mind.
So, and he's like he's gonna lead the charge, whatever. Well, there's consequences
Yeah,
for that because
yeah,
you're talking about using violence. Now you got to deal with people that are trained in using violence too. You see,
yeah.
so it's not just a one-way thing. So
Jeffrey Epstein pops up again here, man. Senator Dick Durbin blocks Marsha Blackburn's request to subpoena Epstein's flight logs. And the question is, why would he do such a thing? And my answer to that is to protect somebody or many people.
yeah, I really haven't followed that. Yeah,
That's fine.
I really,
Yeah, this is a rabbit
yeah.
hole, man. Uh, all right. Also mentioned maybe the shooting wasn't so just random. The dean of the rabbinical court of the colony of Ashdod, the extremist Zionist Rabbi Emlech Wasserman, who openly advocated the extermination of the Palestinians and the fervent supporter of, quote, Greater Israel, end quote, was killed today in that shooting in
So this guy was
Jerusalem.
targeted.
I don't know. Are there such a thing as coincidences?
No, not.
It's something to think about. All right. This is kind of the thing that wrapped the thing together for me. Former top-level Facebook executive claims, quote, 150 men rule the world, end quote, and everyone else is a puppet.
Kind of seems that way, doesn't it?
Doesn't it kind of seem that way? And like we don't care, or we're not pissed about it, or we're not figuring out how to dismantle what's going on, allegedly.
Americans are extremely comfortable.
I don't know.
It just seems like people are just very comfortable with what's going on, and they don't care. As long as you have your social media and your sports, your football, basketball, baseball, whatever.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that for football.
Right?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. This came out September of 2020, by the way. So this has been out there for a while. It's just we're too comfortable,
right.
and we think nothing will ever happen to us or happen here,
Right.
And that's a really dangerous place to be in my opinion.
Definitely. Most definitely.
Denmark has banned the burqa to preserve its culture and ordered Muslim women to leave the country if they want to wear the burqa or the niqab. How you say that?
The hijab?
Niqab.
Because it's they said to wear the burqa and the hijab. That's
Okay.
That's what it. I guess it would.
Okay. Danish government minister said that the Islamic veil symbolizes oppression of women, and it is incompatible with the values of the Danish society. Some would argue. Okay. So, what do you think of that?
So culturally, it's you know, as I told you, a lot of these Western cultures and Eastern cultures don't mix. They just don't. Okay.
Yeah.
And for him to come out and say that it oppresses, that's ridiculous. Okay, culturally, that's how they dress. In Afghanistan, you know, Saudi Arabia, that's how they dress, and it's fine. Okay,
but it hasn't always been that way.
No.
Back in the 70s, women in Arab countries didn't dress like that.
Right, well,
so how is it? You know, I'm being devil's advocate. How is it not oppressing women?
Okay, well, depending upon regimes, okay, and also based upon the Quran as well, okay, and how someone interprets that.
Right. Yeah.
So you know, it's not just like some small nuances. It's really big stuff. Okay. From, you know, like I said, depends on the regime and how they want to carry Islam. So, but to me, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I really don't.
Anything wrong with banning it?
No, not.
Or with wearing it?
I don't think there's anything wrong with wearing it. Banning it, I don't think anyone has the right, should have the right to ban how someone. That's culture. That's
removing them. They gotta leave the country if they don't comply.
That's ridiculous.
Okay.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, but countries always say that we want to be all inclusive, right? And we're accepting you for your beliefs and your cultures, but obviously not. You see?
Yeah. Speaking of which, the Democratic National Convention's coming to Chicago in 2024. There are a lot of theories about, you know, they're going to rig the convention again. You know, Biden is going to win the nomination handily, but then due to health reasons, he's going to have to resign the nomination. Not the presidency, just the... Whoa, my bad. Not the presidency, just the nomination. But anyway, that's that. And so that the Democratic National Committee can appoint a hand-picked candidate, which is what would happen by their laws that they've written in. That aside, the people of Chicago are not happy that another $50 million was suddenly found to house illegal immigrants in Chicago. And go ahead.
You said another $50 million was found?
Yeah, they found it in one of the funds. One of the reasons this is the Smart People Show is because smart people know you have to listen to different sides of things in order to form informed opinions. And too often people in the white community do not hear what the black community is saying, and I'm hoping those of us in the white community that are watching at this particular time, that you give me a minute and 34 seconds and you hear, not only listen, but you actually hear what this gentleman is saying.
Black Americans. We're not African American. We're not people of color. We're not black and brown, minority, BIPOC, none of that. People, no, none of that. This is about our people demanding the resource. These newcomers who are walking into this country. And sister is correct. How do you take a new group of people that have paid no taxes, can't vote, and you put them in front of the voters?
I'm not going to pay them no damn taxes.
And so we say this to you, Mayor, Governor, President. If you think that they're that powerful that you have to acquiesce and answer to them over us, then you tell them to vote for you in the next elections. You tell them to support your Democratic National Convention. And we're going to show you how we feel about the Democratic National Convention.
Turn it up. Thank you.
If you think you're going to have a peaceful Democratic National Convention in the city of Chicago while our people are solving,
That's right.
stay tuned.
All right.
Stay tuned.
All right.
Oh, we're not going to stand out and fight them back. And we ask any of those who are about closing borders, we don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, or whatever. As long as you're about closing these borders, we can support you.
That's right.
And anybody who is about open borders, we're against you.
We're against you.
Plain and simple.
Chris, I think that's I think that is not only an opinion of Black America, but a lot of America, that we got to do something about our border.
All day, right?
Yeah.
All day. So they talk about terrorists entering, through the border. Possibly, yeah. But knowing that, I mean, you have like I said, you have all the illegals coming in, and they're getting more benefits than many of our American citizens, right?
Yeah, and it's not, we're not trying to be inhumane. But there's a limit. I mean, we're $24 trillion in debt, and we're in debt to somebody.
Right.
It's not just fantasy debt. It's not monopoly money.
Right. Well, my belief is we need to take care of Americans first. That's my belief. We take care of America first, and if we have money left over for anyone else, so be it. But there's tons of Americans that don't have a whole lot, and like that man was saying, we pay the taxes, we vote for you, but you're not giving us anything. But you give these migrants, a lot of money, or you give them housing, you give them funding, but what are you doing for other Americans? You're not. So why should we continue to vote for you when you can't even consider us, but you want our vote? So, the Democratic
I've got
Party,
a graph of.
The Democratic Party just better be on their P's and Q's. You see, and
Yeah.
like I said, I'm really not the political guy, but I know
That's my. Yeah, but you don't have to be a political guy to see. I've got this up now. Ron Paul said, quote, "Foreign aid is taking money from the poor people of a rich country and giving it to the rich people of a poor country."
Right. So
and he's showing, and this graph, this chart, this animation is showing the amount of money, the U.S. foreign assistance in 2023, and the amount to various countries each year from 2003. And it's just something to think about. Our tax dollars are going to, in many cases, to the already rich people in poor countries.
So we talked about Ukraine, right? And how much money, defense money, and just money that we dumped into Ukraine. You see?
Yeah.
And that the money's totally on the counterfield. So reports have it that Zelensky bought like a $7 million home in Miami, right? But not only that, reports also say that he ended up buying a $75 million yacht.
I heard about the yacht. Yeah,
Right?
I heard about the yacht report. Allegedly,
Right.
yes.
So,
yeah.
So how is it that this guy the president of Ukraine can afford allegedly a $7 million house and a $75 million yacht. That, like, really? Come on now. And that came from our money to help them. So you see where the money's going. You see?
This comes from World Health Organization. If people refuse to give up meat, they will have to be forced to through human engineering by making them intolerant, perhaps through mosquito bites, is what one of the engineers is saying. And then it says this isn't terrifying at all. We need to wake up. The average citizen of the world needs to wake up and say, hey, we need to band together for our survival, and we need to start dismantling some of the things that are going on. That's just my opinion.
I mean, yeah, but once again, I told you, as long as we're wrapped up in the social media and they have us totally distracted, right, they can pretty much do whatever they want. Listen, as much as I talk to people on the outside about what's going on internationally, and I tell people, hey, you know what? The whole world's crumbling around you, and you don't even know what's going on. But they'll sit there and they'll watch TV shows that are mindless, and they'll be on social media looking at stuff that it doesn't even affect them. You see? But but they'll be so wrapped up in it, and meanwhile, like I said, the whole world's crumbling around them, and they don't even know.
Did you know NASA made rain clouds?
I heard about that.
Ric Flair told Shannon Sharp that he was kidnapped by child traffickers at birth and never got the chance to meet his real parents. Ric Flair's adoption was arranged by the Tennessee Children's Home Society as part of a Georgia Tans baby kidnapping operation.
I've never heard anything like that.
That's some stuff there. The CIA financed a hip-hop for social engineering to corrupt American youth and to covertly destabilize and sow division in America, admits an ex-CIA agent. Former CIA agent admits agency created gangster rap to fill private prisons by glamorizing crime. You heard of this?
But you know what? But that kind of makes sense, because the youth of today listen to that and they go out and they imitate what they hear. You see?
And supposedly in the 60s, what was it? MK Ultra, right, I think was the name of it, where it was about giving the hallucinatory drugs to the hippie culture to destabilize the youth, let's say.
So it repeats itself, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and just, we talked about the 150 people, the 11 companies that own everything. Hold on, let's see if I can get this enlarged. There we go. PepsiCo, Kellogg's, Mars, General Mills, Johnson & Johnson, Kraft and Heinz, Nestle, P&G, Coca-Cola, and Unilever, and all the companies underneath all of them. They don't own everything, but man, we as a society have not been paying attention. It's just like you said, we got distracted by Honey Boo Boo and the Duck Dynasty and all kinds of things, and we've this is interesting. Chairman of the Florida Republican Party, Christian Ziegler, is now under criminal investigation for rape and sexual battery. His wife is the founder of Moms for Liberty, So far, he's refusing to resign. The guy and his wife had a long-standing threesome with another woman, and she's now suing them.
And that sounds about right. It really does. It really does. It's just it really does. Yeah.
I mean, it's like
I don't know why people put themselves in these predicaments. I really don't.
Yeah, yeah, and George Santos. George Santos got expelled from Congress, and on the way out the door, he's talking about how horrible everything is. Now, probably 70% of Congress, allegedly, 70% of Congress have done some of the things that George Santos did. They were just smarter about it and didn't get caught. But yeah, as somebody that spent time, effort, research, studying, preparing to run a serious bid for Congress, to see people like him in there just is disheartening. And he's not the only one.
Yeah, well, the whole thing about it is, it's not for the people. It's for their own personal gain, right?
Yeah.
So,
self-servant, not public servant.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Henry Kissinger passed away, 100 years old. Speech to the WHO, the World Health Organization, Council on Eugenics, February 25th, 2009. He said, quote, "Once the herd accepts mandatory vaccinations, it's game over. They will accept anything, forcible blood or organ donation for the greater good, quote unquote. We can genetically modify children and sterilize them for the greater good, quote unquote. Control sheep minds and you control the herd. Vaccine makers stand to make billions, and many of you in this room are investors. It's a big win-win. We thin out the herd, and the herd pays us for doing so."
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Something to think about. Let me see. Man donated his mother's body to an Arizona Center for Alzheimer's Research and discovered it was sold to the U.S. military for $6,000, strapped to a chair and blown up in a blast test.
Yeah, like I said, Barry, this society, I told you, we live in a very dysfunctional society, Barry. We really do.
Yeah, yeah.
And people actually think it's normal. It's not. It's not normal, people. You would never read about something like this in another country.
True.
I'm very serious.
I know. Two final things. Government staffer reveals Congress knows that the illegal Chinese biolab in California was endangering public safety. I got this on the channel maybe 3-4 months ago that it had been discovered. He says, quote, "I saw they had a secret recording with the lab owner saying he was doing it for the benefit of the Chinese government." And then the guy says he knew it months before anybody else did. Okay, maybe you did, but if you did, why didn't you tell anybody? And we say this new virus is already here, and the potential for a number of other things to already be here from this biolab. And how many other biolabs are there that we do not know about?
And Barry, I just getting ready to say that. I said that's the one that they found. What about the ones that they did not find? You see?
Yeah. Yeah.
And now you got this pneumonia. They call it the white whatever it is. Like, oh, it came from China.
Drum.
Yeah, like it came from China. No, it came from right here in the United States. And you probably have labs in other countries, and you started spreading that shit around, and that's why everyone's got it now. It didn't start in China, people. It started You know?
It may have been formed in China, but it was brought over here to Chinese labs and been dispersed.
There you go. Right?
Possibly even through rats and mice, believe
Right.
it or not.
Right. But we're just speculating. We're not for sure.
Yeah, this is alleged. And the one final story, I want to kind of tie all the Epstein stuff in together. Elites that allegedly had sex with little girls on this island, including former presidents of the United States from both parties. The fact that Durbin just stopped the subpoena of his flight records, and this ex-Mossad agent Ben Meshash confirms that both Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell worked for the government of Israel. Their job, blackmailing American politicians, hedge fund managers, bank managers. Hedge fund managers, bank managers were top priorities. They were the donor class and could have politicians alter policy because, as we all know, corrupt politicians like nothing more than dollars. Now do you understand why the U.S. is so pro-Israel? Epstein would finance universities, primarily targeting their research and experimental developed sectors. If all of this were true, would you be surprised?
Nope.
Me either.
Not at all.
Me either. I can see it happening.
Yep.
I can see it being true.
Yep.
All right, I said that was the last thing. That's the last thing on our bookmarks. Two more quick stories here to end. Alberta, Canada has invoked the Sovereignty Act. Alberta being the state, the provincial capital of Calgary, and or Calgary's the capital of Alberta. Yeah, they have invoked the Sovereignty Act. That means they're going to oppose the federal government and do something strictly on their own for their own people, but still remain in the Canadian government. I don't know how that works, but it's all about Canada wanting to be totally green by 2030, and how Alberta says that will be a detriment to their people in that province. So, just a little bit more potential. Wait a minute. Hold on. All right. Hold on. Okay, I've got to go through this commercial just a second, and we'll get the last story up. This is a site that you're familiar with, Chris. This is Crux on YouTube, and of course we're not going to play the entire thing, but Crux is reminding us some of the things that are going on because this is the World Set Rep. We haven't talked much about Russia, but Estonia is getting ready to close their border. Poland offers Finland troops and on-site knowledge of border security. Russia warns of tensions in Poland if Poland sends troops to the Finnish border. We got a bunch of American troops in Poland and in Germany. Estonia said it was prepared to close its borders, and the situation of Finland's border was a blatant hybrid attack conducted by Russia. Now, I pause it and stop it at this point because he's talking about hybrid attack, and it kind of brings everything back full circle to us. One of the things that he is saying Russia is using is migrants, sending migrants across the border as part of their hybrid attack system.
I'm really not familiar on that, so I'm not going to talk about that.
Okay.
If I had a little bit more information or a little bit more knowledge, I'd be glad to talk about that.
The important thing of pointing it out is that there is a very real possibility that war in Eastern Europe expands beyond just Ukraine and Russia.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
for sure.
So, all right, man. As always, we went a little long tonight, but there was a lot of stuff to talk about. Um, Anything for this weekend?
Um, as always, be prepared to, once you step outside, um, that's the battlefield. Okay, from here on out, especially since we have the risk of terrorist attacks. All right, nothing happened over Thanksgiving weekend, but that doesn't mean that things won't happen, because now everyone has, lowered their guard, and because they've lowered their guard, this is when, the attacks most likely will occur. I'm not going to say they're going to occur this weekend, but just be aware of your surroundings at all times. Be situational
Right.
aware. That's
Yeah.
all.
Don't be paranoid. Just be prepared. Just have in your head something could happen if I'm going to a mass event, if I'm going to a football game, if I'm going to a shopping mall, and not just because, well, there's been a global jihad declared, and we are a country of, if it doesn't happen immediately, then it's probably not going to happen. The rest of the world's not like that. The rest of the world's a lot more patient. So that's why, just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. We hope it won't, but at the same time, we would be remiss if we didn't remind you that it could at any time. And more than likely, it's not going to be a big mass giant event like 9/11 was. It's going to be much smaller, and possibly IED shooters, active shooters, or something along those lines, right?
That's 100.
Okay. All right, man. You be with us Monday night?
I sure will be.
All right. We'll see you Monday night at 9. Thank you so much, as always, brother. And we'll see you
And
Monday.
thank you for having me on the show. Always, man. Always.
Hey,
man.
we'll talk
All right?
between now and then, I'm
You have
sure.
a good
Yeah.
night, and your audience too.
Thank you, brother. Peace out.
Yeah, for sure. We'll talk.
That's our man,
Okay.
Chris, counterterrorism
Take care.
and military expert. Started out as a police officer in D.C., went into the Army. Lots of experiences. Traveled the world. Has his own security company, and we are so grateful to be able to get him to share some time with us, a couple hours a week out of all the stuff he's doing, and so insightful. And again, it's for smart people. So share it with other smart people. Let them know it's out here. We are here on YouTube. We are on Facebook. We are on Twitter. We're on Twitch. We are on LinkedIn. And we are on Rumble. We're not live on Rumble, but we are on there after the show ends. So check us out at those locations. Hit the like, subscribe, whatever it may be. Do so at wherever you may be watching. Let us know. Send me a message on email, americandufus@gmail.com. If you like what we're trying to do here and you want to help support, Cashapp's the best way to do that. $ American Dufus, all one word, AMERICANDUFUS. Again, thanks for clicking on. Thanks for giving us some time. We'll be back on Monday night at 9 p.m. once again with Chris joining us. And until then, blessings be upon all of you, those that wish them. Namaste, shalom, shalom, assalamu alaikum, peace, love, positivity, positive vibrations. Love y'all like chocolate chip cookies. And it is a dark world. Thanks for being here. Try to be a light. The world needs more light. It's a dark, 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 dark world. It's a dark country we're living in, unfortunately, as well, and sometimes we're blind to it.